Hi, my name is Umber Majeed, and I'm a multidisciplinary visual artist. I mostly work with digital tools, and I play with family archives, so specifically family heirlooms, and try to reinterpret it through speculative fiction and my perspective. So a lot of my past work, specifically the project that I'm working on recently, is called Trans Pakistan Zindabad. It's a project that takes my uncle's failed tourism business from Pakistan in the early 2000s and digitally revamps it to talk about gentrification, land politics, and climate change in South Asia right now.
Round and round the roundabout. Loiter and slow down.
Through this workshop, we will be using our own family heirlooms or artifacts from our personal history to reimagine a different experience, either speculate about a future, reinterpret memories that have already existed, and rethink how we can relate sensual sensory experience to a memory by recording sound. So if you can all look inside your tech kit and take out the iPad, the mic, the headphones, and the wiring that are attached to it, we will be able to proceed with creating our sound piece. We have our iPad right over here. You can log in with the password, which is 123456. We also have the mic over here. And there's two sides, and once we hook this up, be able to show you. If you look inside a gray pouch that says Tech Kit Case, you can take out this wire that is to hooking your headphones. So it is the wire HPJ-17. Okay. These are the headphones. So we have the headphones on. This is the wire that we need. And we are just putting in the jacket. Right over here. We can put it in on the bottom of the mic. So right over here. And then there's also another wire that we will need, which is also in the gray kit case, and it is MCUSB. And I have the 17 number tech kit, so that's why it says 17. And we will put the end that's USB-C, and we connect it here. So this is what it looks like. Then you just lift it up, and the other end is the USB. And so you can't directly insert this into the iPad. So we will need another component, which is a dongle, which has USB's outlets in it. So we're going to put it in here. And so that converts it. And so we can just attach the USB-C into the iPad charging element. And so once you insert that, you can start playing with the mic. Since we are mostly exploring sound design, we need to have our mic settings done appropriately, so enough of the sound is being inputted into the mic to translate into the program that we are using today, which is called GarageBand. So right over here, it says, you see a little blue light, you can see right over here. And so it's on a label that says front and back, tight stereo, and wide stereo. So this knob right over here is increasing and decreasing the input, the sound that you are putting into here. Okay. So just keep in mind that it's helpful to have it in front. One, it's helpful to be in a quiet room, as I am right now. As long as you have the blue light on the mic on, we're able to test it in GarageBand in a little bit. So I'd like all participants to take out their object if they have a physical object, or think about the memory, or take out a simulacra, a copy, or a photograph of a particular moment that they want to explore. So this is a boombox owned by my mother. This was the only object that she brought in from her migration to the United States in the 1980s. I've been really interested in looking at this object as a way that helped my mother with her nostalgia. So there's a lot of memories contained. She literally carried tapes of Bollywood songs because it reminded her of home, and she physically brought only this object from her travels. So I'm very interested in finding a way in which this particular memory I can access intergenerationally through this particular object. And this is still a working boombox. So some questions to consider when using the object that you have is clearly identifying what the object is. So what is the object? Is it a family heirloom? Is it a photograph you've brought to this particular forum? Is there a particular significance to this object? For example, I talked about my mother's boombox and how it represented a piece of her home. And that was important to her. Hence, this is important to me in understanding her and the South Asian migration experience in the 1980s to the United States. So in this workshop, we are trying to create an experimental sound piece. So maybe it's helpful to think about how to write out a memory attached to the object and describing elements in the memory, such as details of sound, smells, and textures, and other people that are involved in this memory or in this object. It helps create a more expansive understanding or more sensorial experience to your sound piece. Maybe another prompt can include, if you were this object, how would you describe yourself? And lastly, what kind of character or role would you take to recall or describe this object? You can think in terms of, are you a tour guide? Are you a musician? Are you taking the role of the object itself? Or is this a fiction of you enacting a person in a photograph, for example? Once you have answered some of these questions and have a kind of conceptual framework, we're going to go back to our setup, which includes, again, the iPad, the mic, and the headphones. And we are going to get started. So I'm just going to bring in the iPad a bit closer. And we have our mic over here. We still have the blue light on, so it's on. And I'm going to just turn it around a little bit so I can get the full sound necessary. And again, my headphones are hooked up. So let's make sure not to get tangled in the wires, as I am right now. And we take our headphones and we put them in. Okay, so you can hear the playback, meaning listen to the sound you just recorded. Okay, so we are on this iPad now. We are going to look at the icon that has a guitar, and that is the program we are going to use. It's a program that helps with recording sound, arranging sound. So this is what is visible once you click on the app. And what you are going to do is you are going to create a song, and up pops up a black interface that has multiple options, and these are your project settings. So it helps in clarifying what kind of recording you want to do. There is, if you want to insert a instrument, there's a different format for different kinds of instruments, but we are going to focus mostly on creating our own kinds of sounds. So we're going to use the option audio recorder. I'm going to press on it. And now we are on the main interface. So what you see here is above us on the top, there is a timeline. That's what we consider a visual depiction of arranging sound. You can also, through the timeline, you are able to view the quality of sound, as well as the extent of the input and output. You can notice that there are two sections that say in and out. And as you see, they're moving as I'm speaking. It's because we've connected the headphones to the iPad. What we can do is there's a circular button, we can decrease it. And so when it doesn't take in too much noise or sounds that are unnecessary for the audio. And then there's an output button. It says out. It's on the right-hand side, and that would be the playback, which is replaying the sound that we record on the timeline. So I went over the timeline a little bit before, but let's go ahead and start to record our own sound. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that our mic is positioned in the right way. It is on the setting that says front, so it's going to record the sound on the front. And then there's some additions on the back, including microphone gain, and that can adjust the quality of your sound. So it's this button right here on the back side, and you just do it up, like you roll it around and see. You can test it out like right over here. Unfortunately, you're not able to hear what I am hearing because I have the mic on, but that's just for you to just make sure and double check. Okay, now, so we're going to start right over here. And on the iPad, on the top center, there are three buttons. The one on the right is a red circular button. You are going to click that, and that will start a countdown, and then you can start recording. And when you are finished with your recording, there is a stop button to your left, so you can stop the recording when you are finished with your description. What I am going to do is I'm just going to do a brief description of the radio. And then we will hear the quality of sound. So we're going to start. We're going to go and press the red button. The boombox is red. It can be carried by one person. It has dust all over it. It plays Nile Nile Umber. Okay, so I'm going to unplug the headphones from the mic right over here. So the audience, you all can hear what I just recorded. I described a little bit of the boom box. We're going to scroll all the way to the beginning. And right over here, what I'm doing right now, back and forth, that is what we should be touching and scrolling to the beginning. And then we are going to press play just to test it out.
The boombox is red. It can be carried by one person. It has dust all over it. It plays Nile Nile Umber.
So it's not as clear of a sound. It's a little shaky. It has a little noise. It might be that I'm too close to the mic, or that the setting on the back for the gain needs to be readjusted, but you can see what works for you accordingly. And then we can move on to how to import a sound that maybe you download online. What we want to do is create a very visceral feeling by experiencing the sound piece. So what I did is that I mentioned the song Nile Nile Umber. So maybe it would be interesting to recreate that through my voice. So Nile Nile Umber is a Bollywood song that most likely was played through this radio by my mother. So I'm interested to see if we can layer it with this like description. So when we go to the iPad, you see where the mic is on the left side. We are going to, right below it, there's a plus sign. We are going to press it. And then just like we saw in the beginning with the project settings, there's the audio recorder. And so we're going to press audio recorder again. And then we're back to our project, except there's an additional mic right below it. So this allows us to do the layering. So we're going to try to record again and see how that sounds. So we're going to take the timeline, right? We're going to scroll all the way to the beginning and we're going to highlight the second mic. Okay. See, this is the first, this is the second layer. And what we're going to do is we're going to plug back in these two pieces with our headphone. Let me try without the headphone. That might be more helpful. Using this, we plug it back into the computer, and then we test the sound on the iPad. Okay. Now, we are going to press record at the top. It's going to do the countdown again, and we are going to go for it. I am going to sing a 1980s Bollywood song. Nili nili umber, nili nili umber, nili nili umber. Nile Nile means blue, and Umber is also my name, but it means sky in Hindi. So I kind of want a sound, like an effect on this sound, just to make it a little more complex, because obviously I am not reiterating it in a proper Hindi accent. I don't have a singing voice, so I kind of want to make it a little bit more textural, have more texture in it. So right over here, let's play it back for a minute and let's see how it sounds. All right. So we have to unplug this and then try. So we're going to press play.
It can be carried by one person. It has dust all over it.
And so both of the sounds are being layered. So what could I do to add more texture? We can look at the second recording that we did. We can add a filter. So in the option that says fun, this little circular bit on the bottom, we can press different filters. This is sci-fi, this is chipmunk, this is monster, this is bullhorn, this is dreamy. Let's try dreamy, because it's kind of going back into a past that I never experienced. So let's try.
The boombox is red. It can be carried by one person. It has dust all over it. It plays Nile Nile Umber.
I'm not that sure about it. We can also, let's try the sci-fi one. There's a sci-fi one right over here. Let's see if it does any difference.
The boombox is red. It can be carried by one person. It has...
So that's super robotic. So I think that kind of is interesting to the theme of, old tech and new tech that we're exploring in this. So I think that the importing sound might be helpful as well. We can try right over here, again, pressing the plus button. So again, another layer of the audio recorder. And it comes out as the sci-fi one. We can change it. We click on it and we press OK and we press clean. So either we can record it or we can add it. Now we take the timeline pointer, we put it to the beginning, and then we press this loop right over here on the upper right-hand side. I'm going to press it again. And these are Apple loops, so they're available, they're free. You can click and drag them into the timeline. This might be interesting, cosmic bell layers. There's also different genres, and you can search and instruments as well. But we're going to simplify it and just take what we just played, which is cosmic bell layers, and we're going to drag it. It is now 3 layers, and we're going to play it back.
The boombox is red. It can be carried by one person. It has dust all over it. It plays Mille Umber.
And so it would be helpful to take out time now, pause the video, and look over a few different techniques, files that you might have, writing pieces that you might want to record, and then we'll reconvene when I have a completed piece to share with you all, and then show you how to share it with others via QR code. So once it is complete and you want to share your piece with others, you can do that by adding all the elements that you want. We can play it back, which we can do right now. We're going to take this gray arrow at the top. We're going to press on it and scroll to the beginning, and we can play the piece. Mille mille umber. Mille mille umber.
Najas.
So there's also an Urdu phrase that is also from another Bollywood song, which is "Tusi na jao," which is in Punjabi. And it's saying, don't go, please don't go, please don't leave me. And it's a very affectionate way to miss someone. So that kind of nostalgia. And I was interested in kind of showing that as if the boombox is speaking, or refers to that particular nostalgia that was depicted in Bollywood at that time. So what we can do now to share it with people that either have experienced this memory or also have some attachment to this object can experience it via QR code, and I can show you how to do that. But right now we need to export the sound in the first place. So we are going to go to the top left corner, and we're going to press the icon that looks like a folded paper. We're going to click on it. And we're on this part of the iPad. So what we are going to do is we're going to click the top right, which says select, and we're going to click on My Song, which is the project we were just working on. And then we press share, which is on the bottom left-hand side. We press share, and we're going to press song. So we are going to focus on exporting a sound that is of high quality, because we don't know what device that we would be using, or it would most likely be devices like smartphones that people will be listening to this on. So we go all the way to the bottom and check if everything's okay, and we press share. And so what we can do is we can right now save it to files. So this will be saved onto the iPad. We can take a moment as it's loading to think about how we want to share it. And the best way to share that is potentially through a QR code. So we're going to save it on the iPad as My Song. We can also rename it as Umber's Sound. And we press done. And then we press save. We are going to go to the main page and we're going to open up Safari. We are going to log into Google. Okay, so now we are logged in. So we are going to go to the drive. We're going to add new, and we are going to do file upload, and we are going to go to browse. And there you go, my sound is right there. So we are going to upload it. Now, what I would like to do is to generate a QR code that potentially you could print it and put it next to the object that you have for others to use the QR code to experience it. So, for example, we would open up a new tab. So on the top right-hand side, there is a plus button. You press that and you go to a specific website, the QR code generator. So what you're going to do is you are going to click generate static QR code. And then we have options here of URL, free text, contact, PDF, app. So I want to make this very simple. So I just want a URL to my file, my Google Drive file. So we're going to go back to the tab that is my drive. We are going to check recent, and we have Umber Sound right over here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to click on it. I'm going to press these three buttons on the side and press share. And I'm going to change it, the access to it. Now that everyone will have access, I will press copy link. We will go to the QR code generator tab and we will paste. And this little icon up here, a download icon, which is right under static QR code. We're going to tap that. We're going to save the file name as Umber's Boombox. Then you press download and you press download. So now we are going to exit out of the internet, Safari, and we are going to go into our downloads. So my files, there you go. Click on this. So this is a very big version of the QR code. Now I'm going to take my phone and we are going to test it. So I'm using this file right over here, and I'm going to use the QR code and let's see if it works. Even if it's this small size in the menu, it usually works. And voila, you have the sound. So that is how you get to share your specific QR code generated sound art piece. Thank you for taking out the time to watch my tutorial and learning how to translate your memories into different media forms. I'm hoping that every artifact and every memory gets to be cherished and reinterpreted in a new light through this project. Thank you.